I'll just sit here for a moment. See if anybody comes in. Hey, Steph, how you doing? Hey. I said I'm gonna sit here for a minute, and let me know you can hear me too. Let me give me a one in the comments or something. Let me know you can hear me. I just popped on. I said, I'm gonna get on here and just be real. Just wind down Wednesday. Might keep it as a regular thing. But I'm gonna see how it goes. But today is wind down Wednesday. Pour whatever you want in your cup, sweet tea, or whatever else you want to pour in your cup. We all grown, we all adults. Just be responsible. That's all I would say. But yeah, it's a rainy day here. I would say rainy day in Georgia because that's where I grew up, but I'm in South Carolina now. So it's a rainy day in South Carolina. But yeah, so I was like, I'm gonna just pop on here today, and you see my topic on my screen is wind down Wednesday. You hear me just fine? Great. Okay, great. All right. And then, hey, send out the back call to the crew. I'm still learning how to go on the other platforms. I know you can invite people, but I'm still learning how to do all that stuff over here. I was like, yeah, but you gotta learn it. You gotta figure it all out. But yeah, and I hope you're doing all right today. I know you were I watched some of your stuff when you were talking about the scriptures and stuff about that with the financial one. Hey Tia, how you doing? How y'all coming in? Make me feel good. But yeah, I'm just popping in for a wind down Wednesday. I said, Deborah, you got to get up here. But I've been really focusing so much on the Altar Expo that I'm planning. And of course, all the stuff that happened with my mom, the past week. I've been busy with all that. But even still at home, she's home now. She's doing well, other than just a little weary or nervous. Like, 'cause we still don't know exactly, what was going on. We just know her iron dropped abruptly. And, they told us to rush to the hospital that day. Literally, like, I took her to her checkup for, checkup. But they just got, like, my parents, they stopped, thank you. They stopped doing going to the military hospital for their doctor visits and stuff because they're retired. But there's like a good 35, 45 minute drive over into Georgia. And so we switched them over here to South Carolina to outside providers, which they don't like that either because they're so used to the military stuff. But basically she had to go ahead and get some blood work done, and they literally called us that next morning, like 6:30 something in the morning. Matter of fact, my phone had 6:33 a.m. And I'm like, hello, it was an unknown number. Sometimes we don't answer those unknown numbers. And I was like, yeah, thank you. She's, like I said, she is doing well. She's not like symptoms wise, she's not sick. They just, thanks to you, her arm was low. And they were like, "You need to get her to the hospital right away within a few hours." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, what?" It was scary. I'll be honest, it was scary. And so, I told, went around her room and briefed her and told my daughter and stuff, on the way to her room. But and I had to calm myself down. I'm like, "Okay, Lord." And we got her to the hospital within a few hours. They admitted her and ran tests and stuff like that, and then they said, okay, we're gonna admit her and didn't take her up to the next floor, the third floor, and we were there for a whole week, literally. Alan came home that last night. I had to get me some rest, but I left a couple times to go and get some change of clothes. One time my daughter brought me some change of clothes, and then I think I stepped out for like an hour here to go get some food or something. Excuse me, while the family was there, but majority of the time it was me. And so but I was that last night. I was like, Mom, I got to go home and get me some rest. Like I was about to lose my mind. Like I love my mama, she loved me. We was getting on each other's nerves, but it was a stressful time. And I came home, got me some rest. She didn't want me to leave, and I think we both had gotten a little codependent. 'Cause, nervous, scared. We were scared, especially in the beginning. And so I had to like a little not less. She didn't want me to leave, and then when I did leave, like before I could get in the car good from out of her room, she was calling my phone, like, Mama, she was like, why don't you just go get you some stuff and come back? All right, Mama, I'm going to see, because I had the grandkids here and I still help with that. my dad can only do so much. He's physically moving around all this and that stuff, but it's different. But yeah, I came home and I got some rest, and she, like I said, she called me a few times that night, but so that next morning, I was going, got ready to go back down there like probably around 8 or something, and she said they were gonna be releasing her. So I was like, okay, good. So they released her and gave her to follow up with her primary and then to get a referral. And then we went to the primary. I think the next couple days later, I think, and then they said, okay, we're gonna put in a referral. So now we're still waiting on that because they sent her into a in back to a gastrologist. I can't say it right now, but she had already had all those done. She had the endoscopy and the colonoscopy done, in the hospital. So we didn't need to do all that again. So now we're waiting on them to send us where we're supposed to be going, which is Augusta University, which is we're right across from Georgia. Georgia. But we're waiting on a referral to go over there, supposedly to get the pill camera test. But we're still waiting on that, and it's been over a week now. But she's not really having any real symptoms. Like she feeling it's like now we're thinking about it more because she's like, Deborah, I think I'm, getting. Which they were always cold. She was like, Deborah, I think I'm, feeling like funny like this or feeling like this. But then the other day she's like, ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm fine. I don't need to go nowhere. And yeah, yeah, and it's scary. It's she's scared, and I had to push my scaredness back, because my mom, But of course, we know God can heal all. He can do all things. But yeah, as humans, I'm not gonna say that I'm above, having a little bit of fear. But I mean, ultimately, yes, I know that our help comes from the Lord. But it was scary, just being honest. And with the topic on my screen, and I know I didn't do it all special, but self-care isn't selfish. Just like with me coming home that last night, I wanted to come home before then. I just, be honest. But at first, like the first few days, 2, 3 days, I didn't want to leave her. I admit I didn't want to leave her side. Even though I know technically I couldn't do anything, but it's like in my mind, it was like, as long as I was there, she was gonna be all right. That's how I felt, and I think she felt the same way because we rolled it out together. I'm the one who, like I said, I helped her, getting in and out of the bed and all that stuff. She didn't want to rely on the nurses and stuff, but I help her at home anyway. So, but it just I think we both just had gotten so dependent on each other that neither one of us wanted to let the other one go. Like, as long as we were there together, we were gonna be all right. But like I said, God, He was working on us. I think it was an experience that we both had to go through. On, oh Lord, hold on just a second, y'all. She calling my phone. Hold on just a second. Don't hang up. Don't get off. Yeah, let me know y'all can still hear me. But yeah, it wasn't nothing wrong, just the grandkids. Like I said, my parents are on the other side of the house, and I'm on this side. Separate between like a long living room. And she was like, my granddaughter got in some clothes in here, and they already just clothes. So and that's another my self care thing. I have to prioritize myself. But yes, of course, if it's an emergency, like if it had been something, I'd be like, y'all, I would just jumped out this live and been gone. But I have to prioritize, set boundaries in a sense. Really honest, I have to learn self set boundaries because okay, great, great, you can hear me, Tia, good. I had to learn how to set boundaries. And I say with my family because really they're mostly the people who I'm around on a day to day basis. It's my family here at home because like I said, I work from home with my business or whatever. Everything I do is from home, and seeing about my mother throughout the day. So they're all used to me being here, even from down to my daughter and my grandkids. They're used to me being here and helping and everything. But I still had to prioritize myself, like because I don't work a traditional job, they feel like I'm just here at whenever for everybody, and that will burn you out. Okay, all right, you're on your walk, listening, great. Be safe out there. But and so I have to learn to prioritize myself and take care of me. Like even if I just like I know at one point, it's probably been some months ago, like there's like a little lake not too far from my house, and I had never been to it before. But one day I was out door dashing, and so on my way home, I had to pass this. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stop by there. I don't want to rush home. Everybody's at home anyway, and I stopped at there and just put my feet in the water. So I went there a few times, throughout when the weather, when the water. But I haven't been out there in a few months now. But back there in the summer, I went a couple times, just put my feet in the water all the way up to my knees and stuff. I think I made a few shorts and stuff, but just to get out and just wind down. Right. Okay, you telework too, right? So you understand. And I used to do it heavily, working, for companies, call center, that type, where you're on a strict schedule, and I couldn't do that with having to be able to just like get up and whenever I needed to get up off the computer and go do something. So that's why I don't apply for those anymore. But yeah, I used to do those, and like when I first moved back here, as a matter of fact, and after that relationship in Greenville, when I moved back here with my parents, and I brought my job with me. I was working for a call center company selling insurance, and I brought my job with me. They let me hold on pause to come, move my stuff and everything. And I got right back to work. It was a full time job, 8 hours a day. And I would, but my mom, she wasn't quite, her health wasn't as bad. And I won't say health, but her, the most problems my mom has, other than high blood pressure and, like that or whatever, like, which is typical in a sense. Um, she had a few like hip problems, but it wasn't real bad back then. She was walking with a cane back then and everything. She was fine. Actually, sometimes she didn't even use a cane, But um, later on, her health started declining. But like I said, I was working that job then, so like I would just when I go on my break, I go to the kitchen, make me something to eat, and I just chit chat with her for a few minutes. All right, I'm coming back to my room, eat and get so I can get ready to get back on to work. But it wasn't as demanding, and then it was just me and my parents then, so I didn't have to worry about. I didn't have to help with grandkids. I didn't have to pick up nobody from school, none of that stuff. But so it was a little easier as I was going through and trying to heal and everything, and then things changed. But I I guess I think I got used to being needed, because that's a thing too that I had to learn about myself too. I had a need to be needed, and I had to really start thinking about that thing, because like you will burn yourself out. I'm gonna call him back. You will burn yourself out. With people, just needing, trying to be everything for everybody. You would literally burn yourself out trying to be everything for everybody. And I had to learn that, okay, Deborah, you're just one person. You can't be everything to everybody. You got to prioritize yourself. And it took a long time. I am still a work in progress, but it took a long time for me to even get to this point, because I literally, whoever needed me, I was there. Whether it was, relationship, intimate relationship wise, or family, friends, right? Yeah, I get it, Tia. And that was me. It was like, sure, okay, here I come. And I'm like I said, I'm still a work in progress, because another friend of mine, called me a little while ago, right before I got on here, and needed to ask, needed some help with something or whatever. And I just told my mom, hold on a minute, right? Codependency, exactly. And I told her to hold on a minute. I helped her out on the phone, and then got back with my mom, and but I'm like, okay, I gotta prioritize like me, like even for instance with this live right now, y'all see I've done been interrupted like 2, 3 times. Normally I'd be like, okay, fine, forget it. Okay, I'm gonna get off. I just can't do nothing for myself. But I gotta prioritize myself. Whatever it is that they need, like I said, unless it's like an emergency. But other than that, it can wait. It can wait a minute. So, even that phone call just then. Leave a message, I'll get back to you, And that's something that we have to learn to do on a day-to-day basis, a minute-to-minute, you know, basis, because you don't, you will get burned out. People will burn you out, and they don't. The people who, I'm not gonna say that they are doing it intentionally, but they're so used to you, yes, 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 okay, 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 or whatever, that when you change it up, they don't know nothing. They don't. They're like, wait a minute, what? What? She said no. What? She can't do this. She what? Why? She ain't doing nothing else, or she, whatever. But no, you got to prioritize yourself. You have to prioritize yourself, and I had to learn that. I had to learn that, self care is not selfish. It is not selfish. I don't get off that screen, but yeah, self care is not selfish, and that's, like I said, that codependency, like you're saying, Tia. That codependency is something serious because you get used to them for being there for them, and they get used to you being there for them. You said you know how to sit down. Right, right, exactly. I've gotten a whole better. I've gotten a whole lot better. Like now, I'm like, I'll let you know if I can do it or not, or if I can't do it, I just can't do it. And you either like it or you don't like it. And then if me saying no determines how you're gonna, move forward with me, then we don't need to move forward at all. If you're gonna move funny, because of it, then we don't need to move forward at all. Like I can remember there was a situation with the someone who was a friend, and like I said, girl, you got this, you got this. Sure, here you go, whatever, whatever. And then so one day, girl, I got such and such and such going on. I need your help. Can you send me such and such and such? I'm like, I don't have that much. You like, my situation, yada yada. I'm like, I can't do that. I don't have. I became the worst person in the world. Right, exactly. No, it's a full sentence. But after that moment, I was just the worst person in the world. I was selfish. I was this. I was that. All because I said no. All because I wasn't a good friend. I wasn't, I didn't know how to be a friend. All kind of stuff. But did I let it change my mind? No. That was just, I mean, I ain't gonna say it didn't hurt, but that was just a friendship that wasn't meant to be, or wasn't really a friendship at all. And so I had to let it go. I had to let it go. And no, that's all. That's it. That's all. Period. I had to let it go. Because you're not going to, if I tell you no, you're not going to force me into doing something. You're not going to force me into saying yes. When, it's not something that's above me saying yes to. So no, and like I said, I let it go. I let it go. And yeah, you're right. You have to learn to let them go. Exactly. You got to learn to let people go. 'Cause if they were meant to be in your life, then they'll be in your life. And if they wasn't, then let them fall by the wayside. Like I could talk a lot about, an example with pruning trees. You have to get rid of the dead pieces, cut them off, let them fall off or whatever, pull them, rip them up by the, off the ends of the trees, the dead leaves or whatever. So that way the flower or the tree can flourish. I had to let people go so that I could flourish. I had to let them fall by the wayside. They're not my task to take care of. I'm not God. God is there for all of us. I'm not him. He doesn't put us here to take care of everyone. I mean, yeah, we fellowship, we, commune with one another, but he doesn't put us here to take care of everybody, to do for everybody, everything for everybody. That's not what he designed us for. That's not how he designed fellowship, caring, love, kind. No, that's not the fruits of the spirit. No, that's not part of it. So, I had to learn that though. And like say, you live and you learn, you live and you learn. And that's what I did. I lived and I learned. I had to learn how to let it go. What's that old song? You got to let it go. But I had to learn to let it go. I had to. I had to learn to let it go. And I moved on. I'm fine. I'm good. The Lord taking care of me. He's still providing for me. I'm flourishing, got rid of those dead leaves, dead branches, whatever, and I'm growing. I'm growing. But that's showing proof right there. I mean, so many things have opened up in my life to where I've grown since those situations, right? And so I know that just even proves my point there to even to myself, when it first happened, but to now hindsight look back at everything, that shows me right there that hey, you made the right decision, you did the right thing, and God honors that. He sees that when you make the right decisions, because we're not supposed to put no man before him, right? Man, woman, whoever, we're not supposed to put no one before him. And people pleasing, right, Stephanie? People pleasing really is a sign of putting others before him, because you're even putting them before yourself. And that's not how he designed us. I do know that. I might not know all the scriptures or everything, but I know the Lord is my Savior, and I know the teachings that He's given us. I know His sound. I know the doctrine of the Lord, right? And I know that it's to love one another, kindness, respect, honor, you know, be peaceful with one another. Right, exactly. No one. We're not above no one, and we're not supposed to put no one above him. So no, when people come, oh, no, and even in situations, of course, I pray about it, Lord. Someone asks for this or that or whatever. Okay, Lord, what you want me to do with or and He might not tell me right then. I take my time, but I still, I pray, excuse me, and I listen and I wait for His answer. Cause why you gotta rush? Don't rush me. Don't maybe us May babies too. Don't rush us. But don't rush me. I'm waiting on God to give me the go ahead. I'm waiting on Him to let me know, okay, yeah, you're supposed to help this person, or no, don't help that person, because you don't know which answer you're going to get. But don't rush, don't be hasty and make a rush decision, because it's not going to, 9 times out of 10, that rush decision is not going to go the right way. It's not going to go the way that it's supposed to go. And so yeah, like I said, I had to learn that. I learned it the hard way, but I had to learn that it's not gonna go the way that I thought it would go. I had to learn. Okay, Lord, say this is how I want this to go. You might even see something like, oh, if I help them, and then I can benefit from this. But God got something over there on the other side for you. That's way better than whatever that was that you could get from that person. So you just got to be patient and just wait on Him, and wait and see what He's gonna say. That's what you got to do. Just wait and see what He's gonna say. Wait and see how He's gonna show you on how He wants you to live, who He wants you to commune with, who He wants you to fellowship with, who He wants you to help, be of service to. Because we're not meant to be. Everybody's not meant to be service to everyone. We all have roles. We all have jobs that we're supposed to be gifts and talents and things of that nature. But they're not. Everybody's not for everything. Everybody's not for everyone. So no. Mm-mm. But that brings me, like I said, back to my self care before I wrap everything up. But yeah, you gotta prioritize your self care, and it's more than just bubble baths and getting your nails and hair done or whatever. It's more than that, and that's coming from a former cosmetologist. It's more than that. It's more than just doing that. And even with that, honestly, being someone who stood behind the chair, 9 times out of 10, we're gonna feel like a therapist, because people will unload all their problems on their hairstyles or their barber. It just they do it. It just I don't know. It's because they're sitting in, they feel relaxed because they're sitting there in a chair or whatever. But people will pour out all their problems to you. Just like you're a therapist. That's why you take those career tests. Where like cosmetologists, caregivers, therapists, counselors, all kind of like in that same bracket, because that's what we do. We listen to people, care for people. Even when I was driving for Lyft, some people I know. I remember one time, I'll never forget. This young lady got in, the back seat. I picked her up. Yeah, I think she worked at a restaurant. Yeah, and I picked her up, and she got in or whatever, and so we driving, to her house or whatever, and she just starts talking about. I think she was talking about this drink, something. She just starts talking about this situation, and she just was telling me just on and on and on. And then by the time we made it to her apartment, she was like, "I don't know why I just told you all that." She was like, I can't believe I said all that. I said, well, baby, because she was a little, younger than me. But I was like, baby, apparently you needed to get it off your chest. You needed to get it out your mind. I said, it's okay. It's all right. You needed to get it out. And she's like, yes, ma'am, thank you. And, she went on in, got on out and went on in her business. But yeah, and it happens like that sometimes. Sometimes people just need somebody to talk to, or just need somebody to listen to them, even if you right. She really did. She was like, because I can't remember everything it was, because it's been several years ago, but I remember because she was like, because I was just listening, just driving and listening. She was like, I can't believe I said all that to you, because literally this was my first time. Actually, I think that's the only time I picked her up. But she was like, I can't believe I even said all that stuff to you. I was like, you needed to say it. And I remember it was something along the lines of, I want to say like a relationship, some situation or something that happened, but she needed to get it out. And I was a listening ear. Just listened and judge or whatever. I just listened, and that's what she needed. So God will put us in. He'll put right people in your path for what you need at that right time. I do firmly believe that. But yeah, but I was like, okay. But y'all, I'm gonna wrap it on up and go check on the family. And I had a business called me too. 'Cause y'all know a lot of the stuff y'all see that I'm sharing about the author expo that we're hosting. Tia, you got to get that book done too, sis, for next year. But so yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing a lot of my shorts and stuff, posting that, and I'm gonna be doing some author interviews next week. To show right, he'll put the right people in our paths, but I'm gonna be putting that doing some lives, not lives, rather I'm doing some pre-recorded videos of some of the rest of my featured authors, to give them their recognition and everything. But they're exposed in November, November the 8th. So any of you are not too far from Aiken, South Carolina, y'all come on, make that drive. The expo, it's free to attend. All kind of black authors are gonna be there. And there's a few other vendors and things like that. But yeah, so thank y'all so much for rocking with me. I appreciate y'all. It's nice to see some familiar faces and familiar icons, but I know that's you, Stephanie. But I love y'all, sis, and thank y'all so much for coming on here with me. Y'all, yep, almost done, sis. Y'all good with your book? Good, good. Like I said, reach out if you need any help or anything. I'll put my email address on here for you. Yeah, no, it's not gonna be on there. It's not gonna show any comments. Hold on, put it on the thing. Um, and then I'm gonna get off of here. Yep, there it is. But that's my website. But I'm gonna put my email address on here. Okay. Well, I'll put both on there. Yeah. Because either one, even if you go to the website and leave send me a message on there, it'll still come to my email. But there you go. And show. Oops, wrong one. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Hairbasethoughts.com or hairbase76 at live.com. So yeah, y'all can reach me on either one of those. Yeah, but yeah, thank you. You're welcome, Steph. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for hanging out here with me. Yes, let me go check on mom. Well, the kids rather, almost fine, and return this business call back before it get too late. But other than that, I will talk to you guys later, and I'll be checking y'all social media stuff too. All right. Good night.